November 13th, 2022. 4 college students, asleep in their beds, brutally stabbed to death. Madison Mogen, 21. Kaylee Gonsalves, 21. Xana Kernodle, 20. Ethan Chapin, 20. A quiet college town, Moscow, Idaho, shattered by unspeakable violence. The killer left almost no evidence, no forced entry, no murder weapon, no witnesses. Police had nothing. Until, 6 weeks later, an arrest. Bryan Kohberger, 28 years old, PhD student in criminology, studying how criminals think. He lived 10 miles from the crime scene. His phone pinged near the house 12 times. His DNA on a knife sheath left at the scene. But here's what makes this case extraordinary. The trial hasn't started yet, and the evidence is explosive. A genetic genealogy breakthrough, cell phone data tracking every movement, a surviving witness who saw the killer's face, and a defendant who claims complete innocence. Today, we investigate everything. The murders that shocked America, the massive manhunt, the controversial arrest, and the trial that could define a generation. Because this isn't just another true crime story. This is a case where the killer might have been the perfect student. Welcome back to the hidden world. Moscow, Idaho, population 13,000. A quiet university town. Safe, peaceful. The kind of place where people don't lock their doors. November 13th, 2022. Early Sunday morning. 1122 King Road. A white, 3-story house. Off-campus student housing. 6 college students live there. That night, 4 of them came home. Madison Mogen and Kaylee Gonsalves. Best friends since 6th grade. They'd been out at a local bar, the Corner Club, then to a food truck. Got home around 1:45 a.m. Xana Kernodle and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin. They'd been at a fraternity party, home around 1:45 a.m. 2 other roommates, also home. On the first floor, they survived. Between 4 and 4:25 a.m., everything changed. Someone entered the house, went to the second floor, then the third. Methodically, room by room, Kaylee and Madison stabbed multiple times. Third floor bedroom, Xana and Ethan stabbed multiple times. Second floor bedroom. The brutality was shocking. The coroner called it overkill. Defensive wounds on the victims. They fought back, but the killer, efficient, quick, deadly, and then he left. The 2 surviving roommates. On the first floor, they heard nothing that woke them immediately. One of them, Dylan Mortensen, she heard something around 4 a.m. She heard crying, a voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Then, she opened her door and saw him, a man in black clothing, black mask, bushy eyebrows, walking toward her, then past her, toward the back door. She froze, in shock, locked herself in her room. Too terrified to move, she waited until 11:45 a.m., nearly 8 hours, before calling friends, who then called 911. Police arrived. Noon. What they found inside, horrific. 4 victims, dead for hours, massive amounts of blood, a chaotic crime scene. But here's what was strange. No forced entry. The door was unlocked. No murder weapon found. But investigators knew it was a large fixed-blade knife. No obvious suspect. No apparent motive. Just 4 dead college students. And a community in terror. Because whoever did this got away clean. Or so it seemed. The Moscow Police Department was overwhelmed. This was the worst crime in the town's history. 4 homicides. Simultaneously. In a community where murder was rare. They needed help. The FBI arrived. Idaho State Police. Dozens of investigators. They started with the basics. Who were these students? Did they have enemies? Stalkers? Threatening exes? Madison Mogen. Business major. Beloved by everyone. Kaylee Gonsalves. General studies. About to move to Texas. Xana Kernodle. Marketing major. Planning a future with Ethan. Ethan Chapin. Recreation major. Xana's devoted boyfriend. No red flags. No obvious threats, just normal college kids. Investigators looked at everyone close to them. Friends, cleared. Ex-boyfriends, cleared. The guy at the food truck, cleared. People at the bar, the fraternity, cleared. Weeks passed. The public grew frustrated. Why no arrests? Why no suspects? Police said. We're following hundreds of tips, but publicly, they had nothing. Behind the scenes though, they had something. A white Hyundai Elantra, seen on security cameras near the house. Around 4 a.m., they released the information. We're looking for the driver of this vehicle. And there was more. DNA evidence found on a knife sheath left at the crime scene. Next to one of the victims, the sheath was tan leather. For a Kohberger-style knife, military, tactical, on the button snap, DNA, touch DNA, from skin cells, male DNA, not matching any of the victims, not in any database, but it was something. And then, cell phone data. Investigators pulled records for every phone near the house. That night, one phone stood out. It pinged near the house 12 times. Between June and November, late at night, early morning, the phone would arrive, circle the area, then leave. On the night of the murders, the phone was near the house, around 4 a.m. Then it left, driving south, back to Pullman, Washington, 10 miles away. The phone belonged to Bryan Kohberger, Bryan Christopher Kohberger, born November 1994, 28 years old at the time of the murders. He grew up in Pennsylvania, graduated from Pleasant Valley High School. Former classmates describe him as quiet, awkward, bullied. He struggled with weight as a teenager, then transformed himself, lost a significant amount of weight, became obsessed with fitness, martial arts, boxing. After high school, he enrolled at Northampton Community College, then transferred to DeSales University. He graduated in 2020. Bachelor's in Psychology, then Master's in Criminal Justice, also from DeSales. His master's thesis, Visual Progression of a Serial Offender, studying how criminals think, how they develop. In June 2022, he was accepted to Washington State University, Pullman, Washington, PhD program, criminology. He moved across the country, from Pennsylvania to Washington, right next to Idaho, Washington State University. In Pullman, 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho, where the murders would happen, he was a teaching assistant, taught undergraduate criminology. His students found him intense, strange. He would ask inappropriate questions about crimes, about violence, about how they'd commit the perfect murder. Some students complained. They said he made them uncomfortable. In his personal life, he was a loner, lived alone in an apartment, no girlfriend, few friends. Spent time on Reddit, online forums. He posted in crime subreddits, discussed serial killers, forensics, investigations. He even posted a survey, asking convicted criminals about their crimes. How did you choose your victim? How did you plan it? What did you do to avoid getting caught? Some saw it as academic research. Others found it disturbing. His phone data showed something else. Between June and November, he drove to Moscow repeatedly. Late at night, his phone would ping near King Road, near the murder house, 12 separate occasions. Why was a criminology PhD student driving to a random house in Idaho? In the middle of the night, police started watching him. December 30th, 2022, Pennsylvania. Bryan Kohberger had driven home for Christmas break, 2,500 miles, from Washington to Pennsylvania. His father rode with him. He thought he was safe, blending in, just another graduate student visiting family. 6 a.m., Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. His parents' house. FBI, Pennsylvania State Police, SWAT team, surrounded the house. Bryan Kohberger, come out with your hands up. He was arrested, without incident, charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of burglary. The evidence against him? Investigators believed it was overwhelming. DNA evidence. The knife sheath found at the scene, touch DNA on the button snap. When tested, It didn't match anyone in the database, so investigators used genetic genealogy. They uploaded the DNA profile to public genealogy databases, the same method used to catch the Golden State Killer. They found distant relatives, built a family tree, narrowed it down to Bryan Kohberger to confirm. They needed his DNA directly. They got it from trash. Investigators followed his father in Pennsylvania. His father threw away trash at a grocery store. They recovered it. Inside, DNA samples. They tested it. It matched. The DNA on the knife sheath came from someone in Bryan Kohberger's direct paternal line, combined with other evidence. That was enough. Cell phone data. Kohberger's phone near the house. Night of the murders. 12 prior visits. Vehicle. White Hyundai Elantra. Kohberger owned one, registered to him. Security footage showed a white Elantra near the house. The night of the murders. Witness description. Dylan Mortensen, the surviving roommate, saw a man in black, bushy eyebrows, leaving the house. Kohberger has bushy eyebrows. The arrest made global headlines, but Kohberger maintained his innocence. His attorney, Ann Taylor, public defender, she claimed, he was just driving around, studying the area for his criminology research. The phone pings? Innocent. The DNA? Contamination or coincidence? The car? Coincidence. Kohberger waived extradition, agreed to return to Idaho, face the charges. He arrived January 5th, 2023, and the legal battle began. The prosecution's case seems strong, but let's break down what they actually have. Evidence 1. DNA. Touch DNA on the knife sheath, found next to Madison Mogen's body, matches Bryan Kohberger's father's paternal line. But here's the problem. Touch DNA is controversial. It can transfer easily. Secondary transfer. Tertiary transfer. Defense will argue, how did the knife sheath get there? Was it planted? Contaminated? The knife itself? Never found. Evidence 2. Cell phone data. Kohberger's phone pinged near the house 12 times between June and November, and the night of the murders. But his phone was off from 2:47 a.m. to 4:48 a.m. The murders happened between 4 and 4:25 a.m. When the phone came back on, it was near the house, then moved south, back to Pullman. Defense will argue, he turned off his phone before the murders. Consciousness of guilt? Or wanting privacy? Students turn off phones all the time. Evidence 3. The car. White Hyundai Elantra. Kohberger owned one. Same year. Same model. Security footage shows a white Elantra near the scene. But can they prove it's his Elantra? Thousands of white Elantras exist. Evidence 4. The witness. Dylan Mortensen. She saw a man in black leaving. Bushy eyebrows. But she didn't identify Kohberger in a lineup. She gave a description. Does that description fit Kohberger? Or 100 other men? And why didn't she call police immediately? She waited 8 hours. Defense will attack her credibility. Evidence 5. Digital footprint. Kohberger's Reddit posts. His survey to criminals. His thesis on serial offenders. Prosecution will say, this shows his obsession with murder. Defense will say, this is normal for a criminology student. Evidence 6. Behavior after the murders. Kohberger cleaned his car thoroughly, multiple times. At late hours, he wore gloves while shopping, changed his appearance slightly. Prosecution. Consciousness of guilt. Defense. Circumstantial. Paranoia from police surveillance. The biggest problem for the defense? All of this evidence together. It's not one thing, it's everything combined. DNA, phone data, car, location, behavior. But is it enough? For a conviction, prosecution needs proof beyond reasonable doubt. Can they get there? As of now, Bryan Kohberger has not gone to trial yet. The trial has been delayed multiple times, currently scheduled for summer 2025. Here's what we can expect. The prosecution will argue, this was planned, premeditated. Kohberger stalked the house for months. He studied the victims, chose the moment, executed a brutal attack, then fled. His criminology background made him think he could get away with it. The defense will argue Kohberger is innocent. Wrong place, wrong time. Circumstantial evidence: no murder weapon, no eyewitness identification, no direct link to the victims, and they'll push hard on the DNA. Touch DNA is not foolproof. It transfers. It contaminates. The trial will be intense. Families of the victims seeking justice, wanting answers. Bryan Kohberger facing the death penalty. Idaho allows execution. The jury will decide. But here's what makes this case so compelling. If Kohberger is guilty, he's a criminology student who committed the perfect crime. Almost. He studied how criminals get caught, then made nearly every mistake, left DNA, used his own car, kept his phone on. If he's innocent, this is a catastrophic failure of justice. Either way, the truth will come out in court. Before we conclude, we need to remember, this isn't just a fascinating case. This isn't just a mystery to solve. 4 young people lost their lives. Madison Mogen, described as a bright light, worked as a server, loved by customers, had dreams, a future. Kaylee Gonsalves, recently graduated, about to move to Texas for a job, her whole life ahead of her. Xana Kernodle, marketing student, in love with Ethan, planning their future together. Ethan Chapin, triplet, beloved son and brother, studying recreation management, just visiting his girlfriend that night. They were all someone's child, someone's friend, someone's whole world. Their families have suffered unimaginable loss. Kaylee's parents, Steve and Christy Gonsalves, have been vocal, demanding justice, attending every hearing. The other families, grieving privately. But, just as devastated, this case isn't entertainment, it's tragedy. And whatever the verdict, these 4 will never come back. So where does this leave us? The Bryan Kohberger case, one of the most closely watched trials in America. The evidence seems strong, but not definitive. DNA. But it's touch DNA, phone data. But the phone was off during murders. A car. But thousands exist. A witness. But no positive identification. Bryan Kohberger sits in jail, awaiting trial, maintaining his innocence. The prosecution confident, the defense fighting, and the families waiting for justice, for closure, for truth. This trial will be explosive. Media coverage, wall to wall, every detail scrutinized. Is Bryan Kohberger guilty? The jury will decide. But one thing is certain: 4 beautiful lives were taken in a brutal, senseless, evil act. And someone is responsible. This has been The Hidden World. If this case interests you, hit that like button, subscribe for updates, comment below. Do you think the evidence is enough? The trial is coming. The truth will be revealed. Until next time, stay informed, stay aware, because in the hidden world, even the most educated can hide the darkest secrets, and justice doesn't always come easy.